Check out this one citrus tree. Single tree trunk supporting 4 varieties of citrus. Starting with, over here, our delicious kumquats. Just behind it here, one of the largest of the lemon varieties known as the Ponderosa lemon. Check out these 2 giant beauties. And just next to it over here are the flowering Bear's limes. And check out these little flowers and little fruit they're going to be coming. So we got, and even the foliage, smaller, which represents the lime tree. And these 3 varieties of citrus are all grafted upon the Lisbon variety of lemon. If you come back here, you can see the yellow lemons. This one here will be ripe in a few more weeks. We've even got some green lemons here too, and a few more behind that, and they're just going into bloom as well. So Lisbon lemon, Bear's lime, Ponderosa lemon, and the kumquat tree, all growing in the footprint of a single citrus. My goal today is to share with you how to care for your multi-grafted citrus trees. These principles would apply with your other grafted fruit trees as well. In addition to, let's get a closer look at what it looks like 3 years after grafting. And then I'll even do a quick recap and share with you just some of the highlights of what we accomplished together here on the Ivory Organics YouTube channel 3 years ago. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants, and author of Saving the World with the Home Garden. And today we're going to be sharing some valuable lessons on caring for your multi-grafted fruit tree, or if you're interested in accomplishing grafting success. I'm also going to hopefully inspire many of you to undertake the awesome skills of grafting in order to maximize the diversity of plants you can enjoy in a limited garden space. The first thing I want to share with you is just a quick recap on how we accomplished this grafting success here behind me. Again, 3 years ago, we used the approach grafting technique. And the reason I used it over the other grafting methods is because of the high grafting success rate you will get using the approach grafting method, which simply starts by having a good, healthy rootstock. In this example, we use the Lisbon lemon. And again, what you're focusing on is if you're looking to ideally have a tree that's a dwarf rootstock, which is going to result in a dwarf height or a dwarf size tree, which usually ranges from about 5 to 7 feet. Then there's the semi-dwarf rootstock, which will result in a tree that can be about 7 to about 15 feet. And the last is a standard rootstock, and a standard rootstock will result in a tree that can be anywhere from about 15 to 30 plus feet. And as always, despite all the size ranges I gave, through the power of pruning, you can always manage and control the size of your tree. So even a standard size root, which would want to accomplish a tree that's between 15 and 30 feet, you can still have a standard size rootstock with a tree that's under 10 feet and highly productive. So bear that in mind, that pruning at the right times throughout the year can accomplish a tree size that is your goal. So this over here is the Ponderosa lemon. As you can see, a lot more vigorous than over here, the Bear's lime. And you can see where we cut off the ends from what was once connected to their own root systems. And you can see it's completely thriving, becoming infused, growing as one. We've got a stake over here to help support all of the fruit that is on the Ponderosa lime. And so what we're going to do now is protect the grafted wound with the Ivory Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard. This offers your plants protection against damaging summer sunburn and insects and rodents. And it is available in colors white and brown and green and grayish. This one over here is color white. A lot of people ask, you know, which one's the best color? White naturally reflects the most light and will keep your plants the coolest. And you can take a look here. We're simply going to be protecting the grafting wound like so, and trying to get it into all of the grafting wounded areas. And we're also going to be sealing the very top of where we once pruned in order to make room for these grafts. When using the 3-in-1 Plant Guard, you can actually smell the oils, which consist of, as many people refer to it, an Italian kitchen, consisting of castor and cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These naturally repel the insects and rodents, in addition to diatomaceous earth, which you'll find in the inert ingredients, is also going to offer your plants some insect protection as well. The oils are also antifungal, antibacterial, and just offer a ton of benefit when applying it to your plants. And this here is going to help seal any exposed areas as the plant continuously heals over it. One other product I want to share with you as well is the Ivory Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard Color Grays. This has been very popular, and if you're looking for a more natural look on your trees, instead of painting them white, which obviously, again, as we said, will reflect the most light and keep your plants the coolest, but if you're looking for a more natural color, this will offer your plants protection. If you take a look here, and the reason we're doing this organically is, as you can see, if we go to the dry areas, and again, this was about a year ago that we last protected the plants. I'm hoping you can see like how it's kind of sloughing off. You can see the dust particles that, again, as the plant grows and as weather hits it and stuff, all of this, had this been latex or tar-based products, would contaminate your soil indefinitely. Whereas, again, this is an all organic product, and also dries on your plants porously compared to a latex or tar-based product. And the majority of the research on prune surfaces, including your grafting wounds, you would not want to trap moisture behind it, as that's only going to contribute to rot. Again, this dries on porously, can even be used as a foliar spray and protect the entire plant, helping your plants with transplant shock, in addition to curbing weather extremes, in addition to helping to keep pests off of your newest plantings, whether it be your citrus or even your tomatoes, pepper, squash, and even ornamental colors. And we're simply going to start all the way down at the base and protect this entire exposed area until the canopy becomes established and naturally protects the understory of the tree. And we're focusing predominantly on, even though I'll go all the way around the tree, but we're focusing mostly on the south and southwest side of the tree. All of the pruned areas, all of the grafting wounds, in addition to protecting, obviously, all those exposed areas, which is tree trunk and lower branches that get the most exposure to the sun. And right here is the transition between the kumquat and then the Lisbon lemon right in here. And again, we're going to protect that wound as well using color grays. Check out how natural that looks. And we're going to be protecting on both sides, especially of the grafting wounds. Again, to keep it sealed from any disease and pests as the plant continuously heals from year to year. One of the most important helpful tips when caring for a multi-grafted tree is balancing the strengths. There's always going to be one variety that's going to be more vigorous over the others, and left unchecked, that vigorous variety will trump and smother out to the detriment and even kill the other grafts on your tree if the strengths are not balanced. In this situation, the Lisbon lemon is the primary lemon tree here. We have been continuously throughout the year, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year, keeping that Lisbon lemon tree in check. And right now it's the Ponderosa lemon that's growing a little bit more vigorous. We've been keeping that in check against the other varieties. As you can see, the kumquat tree is a little bit lower on the plant. The lime structure is a little bit thinner and less vigorous than the neighboring Ponderosa. And we've got to continuously prune to keep the balances as close as possible to equal. Your goal when managing this multi-grafted structure is to balance the strengths to make sure that the waters and the nutrients within the plant are equally distributed among the tree, so you can ultimately have maximum yields of fruit among all of the varieties that you've got grafted onto your structure. So what we're going to do first is we're going to simply prune back again on the stronger variety, which is the Lisbon lemon, and we're going to simply prune it like so. And where there's several branches, as there are over here, there's a couple of branches that are growing towards the grafted area. I can prune those out completely. And of these two, I'll narrow it down to one. And the one that's remaining, I'll even cut that down like so. And here's another. This one here is the Ponderosa, now going into bloom. I'm going to want the Ponderosa to continuously develop and away from the Lisbon, so I'm pulling the Lisbon back like so. Pretty soon we're going to be picking the fruit, but this here is the first of the Lisbon lemons. And here's another. Check out the difference in size. And basically what I'm doing is where there's 2 or 3 branches, I'm simply narrowing it down to either 1 or 2. And that's simply thinning and driving more of the resources into the grafted area and away from the rootstock, which again is the Lisbon lemon variety. What we're going to do next is we're going to harvest the fruit. These ponderosas are adding a ton of stress to the plant. As you can see, I've staked the branches and the fruit to alleviate some of the weight to the entire structure. But we're going to take these ponderosa lemons off. And I know some of you are curious as to the weight, so I brought a scale as well. But check out the difference in size. Ponderosa lemon versus these other lemons. And here's another. And here's the second. So check this out. It's just ponderosa lemons. Here, let's weigh this thing. So it's almost 3 pounds, 2 pounds, 15 ounces. And this one over here, 2 pounds, 6 ounces. So again, 2 pounds, 15 ounces, 2 pounds, 6 ounces. And then compared to these Lisbon variety lemons, this one over here is just 15 ounces, so just shy of a pound. And the smaller one over here, 5 ounces. So just to give you an idea of the size and the weight of these fruit. And the last thing we're going to do is harvest our kumquats. Check these out. And now we can go back with our pruners and just get a better look at how the branches are growing into one another. Again, we can see the ponderosa here is, right here is the lime structure. Ponderosa is right behind it. I could prune this branch out, and I'm actually going to do so. So again, this ponderosa lime is going to come out of the way here. So the ponderosa lemon just came out right there. Part of the structure is starting to grow back down, and I'm going to allow it to do so for now. And I'm hoping I get some more growth up and in this area that will continuously grow. This branch over here that's pointed down, no need for that. And so again, we got a lime, ponderosa lemon, and there's a little bit of clashing going on here. But again, I can go with my stake and then pull these branches away to allow the lime structure to grow in this direction and the kumquat to continuously grow out like so. The most important month for feeding your citrus among your other fruit trees on your property is going to be the month of May. And Ivory Organics, unlike most organic fertilizers, offers your plants all 6 plant macronutrients, including all primary nutrients, which are your NPK, as well as your secondary nutrients, which include calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. Your N stands for nitrogen, P for phosphorus, and K potassium. And the Ivory Organics Super Blend Plus fertilizer also includes azomite, which is crushed volcanic rock to give your plants a lot of the micronutrient nutrition as well. There's the super blend, and then there's the premium blend, which simply has a lower NPK level and does not include the plus azomite value. Both the super blend and premium blend products offer your plants all 6 macronutrients, unlike most other products you'll find on the shelf, which only focus on the NPK for your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Ivory Organics, on the other hand, gives your plants all of the 6 macronutrients, which are the elements your plants need in abundance in the soil. And what we're going to do is simply add a couple of tablespoons here around the base of the tree. As you can see, there's a lot of leaf matter. There was wood chips that we've added within the last year as well. We're simply going to get the product in contact with the topsoil, and as soon as we go to watering, the product will begin to work. Feeding the soil biology, which includes the earthworms, the beneficial bacteria, and the mycorrhiza, improving the overall health of the soil, which will ultimately benefit your plants for years to come. And as soon as you start to water, the product will begin to work. And make sure you give it a good soak as well, as you're going to want to make sure that you're watering the entire root system, not just the topsoil. You're going to want to make sure you're soaking the entire root ball and then allowing the soil to dry between waterings, but never bone dry. And that's the general test for most plants. Again, to water thoroughly on watering days and allowing the soil to dry between waterings but never bone dry. And the watering frequency is going to change, obviously, if it's spring or summer. In the spring, for example, I'd be watering this tree maybe twice a week, compared to in the summer, I'd be watering this tree probably up to 3 times a week, as the soil here drains very quickly. As you can see, we're in a raised part of the garden, as just on the other side of the citrus tree, there's an 8-foot wall. The plants on your property will also benefit immensely from foliar feeding. It's a way to get a lot of the nutrients at the leaf level instantly compared to from the soil. The soil requires the product to break down, to be absorbed by the roots, again, depending on the temperature of the soil, depending on the amount of moisture, depending on a lot of factors, and especially in the winter months, the trees don't absorb much nutrients at the soil level. And if these nutrient deficiencies are not corrected early enough, it could affect the overall blooming and ultimately the fruit set of the plant if all the elements are not available to the plant. Foliar feeding is a very fast way to, an effective way of getting elements into the plant so that its performance can be maximized, and especially for us gardeners that are trying to get the most out of our properties from year to year. What we're going to do here is we're simply going to take a glass of water and we're going to add to it, and these directions are here on the back as well. In addition to, as we did over here, the soil directions, we simply added the product to the soil for established 3 years and older fruit trees, for vegetables and annuals. And then here on the back, it discusses foliar feeding nutritional spray directions. And what we're going to do is simply take a tablespoon of the product and add it to a gallon of water. I know some of you are seeing this and you're like, that's not a gallon of water. But we're going to start off here with a small cup. I'm trying to make sure that the solution and the product come into contact. And ideally, you're going to want to wait for at least an hour for the two to come into contact and for the water to really turn the product into a tea. You can even wait up to 24 hours, or for those of you that are a little bit more sophisticated, you can also make a foliar spray using the Compost Tea directions that you'll find here on the back, where you, let's say starting with a 5-gallon container, you can add some compost with 5 tablespoons of your super and or premium blend fertilizer products to make sure, again, that all the elements are available. Add some molasses to basically feed the biology that exists within the solution, and then add an aerator to it, such as a fish pump bubbler, which you can usually get for about $10, and bubble it for about 2 to 3 days, and you'll have an excellent solution for using and treating any deficiencies within your plants, but most importantly, it also helps improve the overall health against pest and disease issues as well. So foliar feeding can actually accomplish quite a bit for your plants. We're going to allow this to sit for about an hour, and then, which again, we're using the shortest timeline, and then applying the 1-gallon solution to not just this citrus tree, but all the other plants on our property. And before adding the solution of fertilizer to this tank sprayer, I'm going to use this paint strainer. You can also use a sock, you can use a worn out t-shirt, just something to help filter any of the bulk particles from blocking your spray head. But you can see that this is now breaking down and becoming more and more of a solution. And here we go, now adding it to the tank sprayer. And make sure, you can see here's some clumps that are here at the bottom, and whatever is remaining here in the strainer is also still fertilizer. Make sure you rinse it off and apply it to the garden soil as well. So we're just going to put that on the side. That is not going to waste. And now let's add some pressure to this tank sprayer. And here we go. We're now adding all 6 plant macronutrients to the leaves. As you can see, there's a little bit of a deficiency in the plants. You can see that they're definitely going to benefit. They're definitely going to start greening up from being fed at the leaf level, in addition to the fact that we fertilize the soil. You're going to want to get, obviously, the products into what's known as the stomata of the plant. That's basically the breathing hole of the leaf. And they open up most in the early morning, typically before 10 a.m. or after about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. And you're going to want to get the top of the leaves, and most importantly, I'm going to turn this around, you're going to want to get the bottom of the leaves too. and that's where absorption happens the most. As you can see, we're in the later part of the day, as indicated by the shade that you can see here that wasn't there before when we started, and that'll help maximize absorption. And this is going to help improve the health of the citrus tree tremendously. Even though we have no complaints, it's been performing well, blooming well, fruiting well, but it's only going to do that much better considering it's got all of the elements that it'll need to thrive and perform well from year to year. So we started off by heading off the top of the Lisbon lemon, exposing plenty of area and at a low enough point to allow sufficient branching to support the different flavors of fruit. And what we did is then peel back some of the bark of the rootstock, exposing the underlying cambium. And then we brought in a scion, which is the flavor that we wanted to introduce. And in these examples behind me, we have the Bear's Lime, and we did the Ponderosa Lemon in addition to the Nagami Kumquat. Over here, I'm holding a Four Winds Grower variety citrus. And Four Winds Growers actually has one of the largest selections and the largest inventory of citrus here in the state of California, with distribution to many, if not most, of the states in the United States. And this one here that I'm holding is a Eureka Lemon, which aside from the Lisbon lemon, the Eureka Lemon is one of the most popular store-bought variety lemons. And there's a huge difference, and I would say more so, and I'm learning from year to year, but there's just such a huge difference between those lemons you grow at home versus the varieties you'll actually pick up at the store, predominantly because those have been picked, if not weeks ago, months ago, and those fruit are dying and coated in wax and so forth, and it does affect flavor, in addition to lemons among other fruits and vegetables that are obviously always superior when homegrown over store-bought. So Four Winds Growers, I'll be putting a link to their site in the video description below. I highly recommend you check them out. And another link I'm going to share with you is the Growing Citrus in Containers Facebook, and there is also a YouTube channel as well. I'll put both of those links below. But the Facebook group specifically has thousands of people that are eager and happy to help you with your citrus growing questions, and I encourage you all to check that out as well. And what we did once we again got the scion and the rootstock cambium layers in contact with one another is we wrapped it in twine. I simply used fishing string, secured it in place, and then wrapped it with a damp paper towel, slightly moist, as you don't want it to contribute towards rot. And it's something you can actually check on every 2 to 3 weeks just to see how the healing process is going and to replace the bandage. To secure the moisture, we simply put some plastic bag in place to help retain the moisture over a course of at least a couple of weeks. As the healing continues, healing of the grafting tissues will typically happen within a 10-day period of time, but visually it'll become more evident in about 30 to 60 days. To see the entire grafting lesson on how we accomplish this, I'll be putting that video link in the video description below as well for your convenience, and I highly recommend you guys to check it out to reap the benefits of what grafting can do for you and your growing community. So the Ivory Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard pint-sized can make up to 5 gallons of the ready-to-use spray, a foliar spray that can be used now to protect the entire plant structure from weather extremes, in addition to protecting especially your tender new growth. This can be applied to your citrus trees in addition to your tomatoes, peppers, squash, ornamentals, and so much more. And let me just demonstrate for you just how the product works. As you can see, I can spray the tips and all of the leaf structures, and now I've got these surfaces, again, protected against pests and will help curb weather extremes in addition to helping the plant from transplant shock. If you've enjoyed this educational lesson brought to you by Ivory Organics, be sure to give us that thumbs up, share us with your gardening friends and family, and most importantly, keep growing with Ivory Organics, and wishing you all happy gardening.